What if I tell you that Aaliyah was the thread that connected some of the darkest corners of the hip-hop elite? And I'm talking about how her relationships with R. Kelly, Jay-Z, and Diddy weren't isolated moments, but were moves on a board none of us were supposed to see.
I'm going to expose somebody that we all forget about. Y'all see this picture of Jay-Z with Aaliyah when she was underage? Y'all forgot about Jay, huh? We only know about Damon Dash messing with Aaliyah and R. Kelly. But that ain't the only one that Jay had when she was underage. Y'all remember Fox Brown?
Okay, we already know R. Kelly married Aaliyah when she was just 15. First of all, disgusting. But allegedly, he wasn't acting alone in the shadows. And based on recent reports, the whispers in Aaliyah's private thoughts hinted at something deeper. An unholy trinity of powerful men protecting each other and silencing the truth.
Is there anything in particular that you can remember that was kind of like the final straw for you?
Yeah, when Jay did a project with R. Kelly, knowing that he had Aaliyah.
Child, I know there have been reports that Aaliyah kept a private diary, and close friends have said over the years that Aaliyah used to journal constantly. So what if those pages held details about more than just heartbreak and music? What if they exposed the toxic inner circle? Well, allegedly they did, and the streets are saying that she was actually the key to whatever was going on in Hollywood because she saw it all, and that's exactly what we are going to be breaking down. Okay, for starters, Aaliyah was present at several of Diddy's parties, and there had been photos of them making rounds. Like, there's a photo of Damon Dash, Aaliyah, Jay-Z, Diddy, and Jennifer Lopez at Diddy's 4th of July party on July 2nd, 2000. And here's another one where they are all cozied up in a bed at the same party. Diddy and Aaliyah have also been photographed together a few times. And by a few, I mean a lot. So yeah, if we're talking about her witnessing some of the things that went down, she definitely did. Honey, given the interactions she also had with both Jay-Z and R. Kelly, people totally see how she was privy to all their alleged criminal ways and probably even had receipts on everyone, especially on the transportation across borders for hookups, because there were allegations that this was actually done to her. And get this, other than the allegation that Aaliyah was also being transported for hookups across borders, Diddy faced similar charges in trial, and Rihanna's former publicist, Jonathan Hay, also said with his own mouth that he was questioned by the feds about Rihanna being illegally transported across international borders by Jay-Z, and he said that the questioning also involved R. Kelly. So it's not like people are just making this stuff up.
Saw Jay-Z. And he was working with R. Kelly, and they were making so many records together. You know, they made all of those records together. They both Aaliyah. They shared so much in common.
So what exactly did baby girl know or see about these men? And could it have been the catalyst to her sad, untimely death? Now, to break it down even further, we know that Diddy, R. Kelly, and Jay-Z weren't just casual friends. They were frequent collaborators, party buddies, and publicly admired each other's hustle and helped shape the sound of the late 90s and early 2000s. So when Aaliyah entered that scene, young, gifted, and already wounded, she became the unspoken link between these powerful men. And based on reports and insider whispers, she knew things, she saw how they moved, who they protected, and what they turned a blind eye to. Also, according to what people have been saying, if you look closely at what women who have been close to these men have said or gone through, you will see the pattern. Think about it. Cassie said that Diddy exerted his power and influence over her throughout the course of their professional and romantic relationship and forced her to hook up with other men while he filmed them and got off to them. Other than that, Diddy also paid for her car, apartments, and clothing, and even had access to her personal medical records as a way of controlling her. Then there were the allegations that Jay-Z took Foxy Brown's V-card when she was just 15 years old when he was 27 and funded her shopping trips, all the while paying for her hair and nail salon visits while she was still in high school. In fact, someone who went to school with Foxy also said he used to pick her up when she went to high school. She went to my school, John Dewey, then BCA, then Westinghouse night classes. He used to pull up to Westinghouse for her. Biggie Def used to pick her up too, but they were legit friends. Everybody knew her and Jay were together. And when it comes to R. Kelly, the best example would be Aaliyah herself. We already know that R. Kelly lured Aaliyah into a very controversial and highly inappropriate relationship before forging documents to marry her when she was still not of age and even allegedly got her pregnant. He actually forged documents and forced the marriage ceremony to ensure that as his wife, Aaliyah would not be forced to testify against him in the court of law. And guess what? There have been reports alleging that both Diddy and Jay-Z knew what was happening. In fact, back in 2002, Nas suggested that Jay-Z knew what R. Kelly was doing with young girls, and one of them was Aaliyah. He even told Wendy Williams during a radio interview when the tape of R. Kelly leaked, "I could have showed the R. Kelly video that everybody's talking about and made fun of it and show pictures of Jay hanging out. You can't tell me Jay don't see a 14-year-old girl come into the studio and sit on R. Kelly's lap. You gonna tell me he didn't see no 14-year-old girl come into the vicinity? That brother needs help, and I pray for him. But if I sit here and did an album about women with him, I'm definitely maybe indulging in, he had to be indulging in some 14-year-olds. Now, does it surprise you that all these men have been accused of doing the same thing to different women in the industry? R. Kelly and Diddy have already faced charges in court. Well, with Diddy, people said that the verdict set a nasty precedent and trend for what people, especially those with wealth and power, believe they can get away with. Like, we had people noting that participants were literally on the stand admitting to having intercourse with Cassie while she was unconscious from supplies by Diddy, but somehow he was found not guilty of the more serious charges. Yes, Diddy faces a maximum 20-year prison sentence for the 2 counts he was found guilty of, but that doesn't necessarily mean he will spend 20 years in prison. What usually happens is that if someone is convicted of 2 similar charges, the judge will run them together unless there's some aggravating factor. Remember, he has also been in jail since September 2024, and the time spent in detention will be subtracted from the final sentence imposed by the judge. If he is deemed to have behaved well while he was in jail, he could get good time credit, which will result in a further 15% of his sentence being shaved off. Given the verdict didn't go the way most people expected, but it only sparked more conversations about how people like him get away with the ugliest stuff. Anywho, while Jay-Z has not stepped foot in court, there have actually been reports that he was or is being investigated for similar charges. And I know this because when Jay-Z was being exposed for what he may have done to Rihanna when she joined the industry, Rihanna's former publicist was mentioned as he represented Rihanna at the start of her career when she was working with the single Upon the Replay. Yes, the same publicist who said he started the rumor about the Jay-Z Rihanna affair. So after getting an honorable mention, Jonathan said that his phone had been blowing up since the scandal started making rounds again, and he wrote in an Instagram post, "I was mentioned in this explosive and viral documentary by Trap Lore Ross that was featured on @Academics that's made my phone blow up for the past week." Recently, @Jaguar Wright has talked about this controversial situation as well, as I was the publicist for Upon the Replay, the debut single by Rihanna. It's time for me to finally set the record straight once and for all, as it's way beyond shocking, messy, and just flat out crazy AF. Prepare to be blown away, as what William Moseley and I have been through over the years involving this historical scandal needs to be put to bed for good. Yes, heads are going to roll and people will be floored, but the truth needs to be revealed. He actually did an interview where he talked more about what he really meant and revealed that he was stopped by federal agents who he said were keeping close tabs on Jay-Z since his incident with Lance on Rivera, and he was also being implicated in an incident with R. Kelly during their joint tour. Jonathan said that one day, unmarked law enforcement cars stopped him, and the intimidating individuals introduced themselves as a federal task force, and they requested to speak with him. So he followed them to talk, and he was in a complete state of panic. Based on what Jonathan said, as he sat in the desolate/makeshift interrogation room, and while they questioned him, the gravity of the situation became clear to him. Apparently, the feds clarified that they were investigating Jay-Z for allegedly engaging in X-rated activity with Rihanna when she had not yet turned 18, and illegally transporting her across international borders. And the Fed said she wasn't the only one. There were many others. Like, there was an entire ring associated with the allegations. Also, remember when it was revealed that Cassie's lawsuit was initially 60 pages, but it was narrowed down to 35 pages?